Hi, my name is James Huneycutt. I'm here with Jordan Pollock, and we both represent Pixelated Geek. Today, we're going to be interviewing James Pugh of Battlecast and Cloud Imperium Games. James, thank you so much for taking the time out of what we know is a very busy schedule to speak with us.
Of course. No, thank you guys for having me. Sorry the background looks so uninteresting. I'm on my phone right now because my parents are old and they don't have a computer.
I sympathize with that completely. Cool. So you're a guy that wears a couple of hats, actually, that are of interest to our audience. So first and foremost, you're a contributor to Battlecast, and you're also the cloud manager at Cloud Imperium Games.
Community manager.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought I said community. Did I say cloud twice? There you go.
You said cloud.
Yeah, there you go. So, community at Cloud Imperium. There you go.
Which, let's be honest, cloud manager is way cooler.
These are the cumulus, and these are the non-cumulus.
These are my Nimbus clouds.
Nice. First and foremost, I'm a huge fan of Star Citizen. Not simply what's out already, but yeah, go ahead, James.
I was just saying thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I'll stop.
No, you're good. You're totally good. I'm a huge fan of what it's supposed to be. So I was thinking about it the other day because somebody asked me what it is. There's like a large population that isn't like super aware of it yet. Where I'm gonna assume those are mostly console gamers, but like when I was explaining it, there's nothing wrong with console gamers. I am one too. I'm just not just one. When I was in middle school, I did this thing, and it was called the Rebel Squadrons, and it was tied around a game called X-Wing, which I'm sure we're all familiar with. But essentially, you had a squadron leader who would like build a mission, and then he would hand it out to people. He would send you the file, you would play the mission, you would give him the mission report, and then you would proceed from there. He would build a mission as a reaction to it. And that was the level that games were at when I was in middle school. And I loved that. I thought that was amazingly cool, but around the lunch table at middle school, we started talking about, like, wouldn't it be crazy if there were this, like, first-person game where you could fly any ship you want to and go anywhere you wanted to and do anything you want? And, like in a literal sense, Star Citizen is that game. And that's amazingly excited. It's a total dream game for me. And so thank you for making it.
Thank you for allowing us to make it.
Oh my God, yeah, no. I'm pretty sure you have about 350 of my dollars thus far, and I don't think that's going to stop anytime soon. Right, so speaking of, Star Citizen is the most successfully crowdfunded title of all time. I might be wrong, but I think it's actually the most successful crowdfunded project of all time.
Yeah,
maybe not just
crowdfunded. Yeah, crowdfunded thing of all time.
That's congratulations. That's amazing. That's huge. Yeah. So what you're dealing with there is you have the kind of budget that only the biggest titles have, like AAA, top tier, big three publisher money. And you sort of have an independence from that, but you also aren't so much connected to the support devices that creates. I'm really interested to see like how that feels around the office, like for the developers. How does it change the process? And just any other insights about the culture at Cloud Imperium.
In terms of, I'll try and unpack it. In terms of the culture, it's unlike anything I've ever worked with before, where everyone, and this sounds PR-y, but everyone knows who the money comes from and who ultimately we are indebted to. And indebted is a weird word, I admit, but like, we don't have to appease EA, we don't have to appease Activision. All we have to do is create something that the people who want to play it want to play, if that makes any sense. Whereas we don't have to meet some internal guideline of what sells. You know, you go over to Activision, like, this sells. You need to have this in there because this sells. We don't have any of that. What we do have is we sit around and we say, okay, you know, the ship team, like, what role do we need this ship to fill? And we say, okay, well, that's what roles we don't have. Which of these roles are fun? And then we go from there, and then we say, okay, well, we'll ask the community, what do you guys want to see? These are the things we're thinking about. Which one do you like? And then they say that one, and Chris goes, okay, I see this, and then we kind of design it from there. It creates this sense of freedom, but also this tremendous sense of the desire to make sure what we do is accurate to what the impetus of it was. The impetus was the fans wanted, for example, a mining ship. When we make a mining ship, we better make that as good as we possibly can based on the parameters the community gave us that they said they wanted. And it's not to say it's not all, it's also Chris's vision, but Chris takes the community into effect so to answer your immediate question, I'm sorry, I rambled hard.
No, no, that was all very useful.
Yeah, to answer your original question, it's unlike anything I've ever seen before because it's a bunch of people that genuinely love what they're doing, but at the same time are really afraid. Afraid sounds harsh, but afraid of making the people who want this game mad. Not mad. We want to make sure we make the game that people that gave us money want, if that makes any sense, as opposed to creating the game Activision or EA wants us to create.
Yeah.
That is the best answer that you could have given to, I think, the community. No, because there is a different paradigm. When you're talking about a big published title, you are answerable to a certain group of people. And then you also have to mitigate that with desirability for the audience. You have to walk a line in between the two. And I would imagine that it would be somewhat refreshing to know that the place the money comes from is also the person you need to make happy.
Exactly, and it's and if you just think about it in terms of a business perspective, let's take the romanticism out. In terms of just a business perspective, we have immediate feedback of what people like and don't like. You know what I mean? So if we create, if we release this and not a lot of people like it, or not a lot of people buy it or whatever, we're like, okay, well let's focus on something else they do like, and then it allows us. It's the best of both worlds. It allows us to be as creative as we want to be and adapt from a business perspective as quick as we want to be. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. Well, you have you have essentially a in-house captive test audience that is very vocal and very involved because you already have their money and because they already want to play your game.
Exactly.
And those two things are I think that crowdfunding ought to be the future of a lot of interactive entertainment. Not everything, because that's not realistic, but it just seems to me to be a very logical A to B connection. So speaking of, completely crowdfunded, highest crowdfunded title of all time, you are the community manager. I'm interested as to how that's a different position in a crowdfunded title than it would be in a different one. The way that it affects the way that you communicate with the community, the level of transparency, the way you guys approach deadlines, for instance.
Yeah. Chris Roberts, for Shade, the guy who made Wing Commander, the guy who started the company, was very clear from the outset that there is an absolute necessity that the community be involved, and that if we're going to do this the way, if people are going to allow us to do this way, we have to make sure every step along the way they know what we're doing. Because if you give us $1, we want you to know where that dollar's going. Now, am I going to say we're perfect? Of course not. But I believe we try harder and we do more than any other department, any other community department in this, at least in this industry. Mm-hmm. I mean, just the amount of content we put out and how important it is for us to just interact with and explain and articulate the grievances or the concerns of the community to the dev team, and then articulate that back to the community. That is way more of an imperative at this company than it is any other game company I can imagine, because if that message crumbles, if that message gets lost, if that message is not reiterated correctly, not only will there be a setback in terms of production, there'll be a setback in terms of what the community, making this game what the community actually wanted, if that makes any sense.
Very, very much so, very much so. And actually, I kind of hate to do this. I'm gonna throw this one at you out of nowhere. So one of the things that occurs to me as a challenge about a title that has this level of transparency is that there's a certain amount of attention that's paid to the development of the title.
Yeah.
The amount of attention, do you feel in any way, shape, or form that the amount of attention you have to pay to creating those monthly reports and to those 10 for the chairman and to those other things, do you find at any level that transparency tiring, exhausting, counterproductive, or anything like that?
Tiring, exhausting, yes. Counterproductive, no.
Okay.
I mean, yes, it's, you know, I'm like, in my personal role, I've taken more on the producer role of all of our video content, so that takes up vast majority of my time, scheduling and setting up a shoot for 10 for the Chairman, scheduling and setting up all the shoot for Around the Verse, and, you know, and Meet the Devs, and I host Meet the Devs, and then now we have another show, Bug Smashers, which we're breaking out. So yes, in terms of, is it tiring? Absolutely, but any job is tiring.
Yeah.
Waste, you know, is counterproductive? No, I think it's like I said, I think it's absolutely imperative. I mean, you can argue the merit of one show over another all you want. Fact of the matter is, we offer at least 3 shows weekly that allow people a deeper insight into the development of the game.
Sure. I actually, I'm glad that you said that way, because I think one of the most important things to do is, again, just continually maintain the goodwill of the audience. I think that's absolutely vital. And I do think that the products that you guys put out in terms of those videos, those are very helpful. That makes me feel very good about the $350 that I threw at you. I feel good about that. No, because honestly, like, at any given day, and I'm not sure you update it daily, but it's close to. Any given day, I can go to the Robert Space Industries website and go, oh, you are doing things. I can point at the things that you are doing. I see them.
Yes. We have updates daily, not video updates daily, but yes, now we have updates 7 days a week.
Beautiful. Yeah, and that, honestly, I really do think that makes everybody feel a lot better about it. That's great. So I did ask about deadlines, and so, like, I know that I'm going to throw a question at you, and I don't expect, like, a total answer, but any information that you could add to this at all. Do you have any news on the FPS module, if the Persistent Universe module is going to move into beta, projected releases for Squadron 42, Star Marine, whatever you can tell us about releases would be great.
I'm going to dance around a little bit, but a couple of them I'll talk about a little more. For one, the FPS module, there'll be an update, a very well-written and lengthy update Monday. This will be the 5th? It'll be the 5th.
Okay.
Anyway,
that's
this
exciting.
There'll be a very lengthy update on the status of the SPS module. Star Marine is what we're calling it. For Persistent Universe, is still being worked on. That will come after the FPS module, because some of the parts necessary to make the FPS or the Persistent Universe module are tied into the FPS module, so that kind of makes sense.
Cool.
And then Squadron 42, I can say there's shoots going on now, performance capture shoots going on now. Chris is actually in the UK. He will be until the end of June doing performance capture shoots over there, and that is making a lot of progress. I have seen the script, and I've seen some of the things around it, and let me tell you, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be a full-on Chris Roberts single-player cinematic experience that I am very much looking forward to.
See, now that personally excites me a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. That's great. I honestly expected a lot of it'll be here when it gets here. No, thank you so much for that. I am super. Whatever you want to put out, whenever you want to put it out, I think is the attitude in the community. I think everybody knows that you guys have bitten off. I would not say more than you could chew, but you have bitten off more than anyone else ever has. And you do have a lot of money to do that with, but, like, I think everybody in the community understands, like, if we get this game in 2017, it'll be really good, and we'll be excited about it when we do get it. So yeah, no, that's great. So this is
we're gonna try and get it out before then.
Okay, good. I mean, that's good news. But again, no pressure. Do your thing. Just make it awesome. So, final question for me. Personally, what is the coolest thing about working at Cloud Imperium? What's the best part of your job, the best part of your day?
This is going to come off as super sappy,
no,
but
the
best part of my day is that no one I work with looks miserable.
Wow.
I came from I came from a different big video game publisher before,
sure.
And I loved it. I'm not here to throw shade at them or anything, but there's people that legitimately were there because they were getting paid to be, and that's fine. That's their thing, and I'm not. They're free to do what they want. But when I walk around the CIG office in Santa Monica, and when I was in Austin, can you hear me still? Sorry.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
I think my phone cut off for a second. Okay, so when I'm at Santa Monica or I was in Austin, everyone, literally everyone I meet, no one doesn't want to be there. Everyone is happy. Everyone's working hard, but everyone sees the fact that we're working on something kind of special. And when you get that moment every now and then, where where you're not lost in the moment, where you're not lost in the what am I doing now, and you kind of can see the bigger picture. Those are amazing moments. So I guess it's twofold. It's the fact that everyone generally seems pretty happy.
No, that's
I know.
That's
I know
rare.
I know it sounds dumb, but I mean it's a big thing, and it weighs on you. Like it makes you feel good knowing everyone else is good around you, and that you start to feel more about the project, and you start to like the project more. Like it's ineffable, but it's definitely tangible.
No, that's beautiful. Frankly speaking, I've worked in about 7 different places, and only about one of them was a situation where everybody was in that position. So I totally understand where you're coming from. That's that has to be very special.
It is.
Cool. So do you actually have time for the community questions? Because we have 4.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. They're probably going to be pretty quick. And I'm not going to read out the names because I don't want to have to go get NDAs from people. Where do you guys see yourself in the development cycle? Do you have a targeted release year for a, quote, finished product, unquote?
This one's easy to kind of do the stupid PR thing where, like, a finished product, the game will never be finished, blah, blah, because, the games are always changing. But to the spirit of his question, I mean, target, we have a couple targets. I'm not really comfortable talking about them, but in terms of, where we're at in the roller coaster of the game development, I think we said a couple times where I think we are now seeing how it all fits together. For a long time, it was making piece over here, making a piece over here, but now that we're starting to move those pieces kind of together, you're starting to see things coming together a lot faster than they were before. So I don't think we get enough credit, not by our fans, but by the general, other media outlets. But we have made tremendous progress. I think you'll start to see that things come together a lot quicker from now on.
Okay, beautiful. No, beautiful, beautiful. The second question was, I like this a lot. This is what is it like working on a project where the budget is constantly expanding, where all of a sudden, you couldn't do something before, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, shit, we have the money now. Is that more or less difficult than working on a title with an established concrete budget?
I think it goes both ways. It makes it easier in terms of you're not, stressing at all times. Like, oh man, where's the money for this? Where's the money for that? Blah, blah. But it also makes it a little more difficult because with the extra money and the extra support comes more expectation. So it kind of goes both ways. I mean, obviously I prefer it. I think everyone would prefer to have this problem as opposed to not enough. But in terms of what it does to the overall psyche and mindset of the project, I mean, yeah, it works both ways. Obviously, it's great, but at the same time, that comes with increased responsibility. It's with great power comes great responsibility.
Yay. Okay, cool. No. Very good points. Very good points. So 3. What is your favorite fan creation / suggestion that you've seen thus far to date, and how much does the community actually contribute to the game with those suggestions, creations, critiques?
My favorite to date? That's a little difficult, not because I want to be political, but just because there's a lot of things, and it's not that someone has an idea and we take it. It's a bunch of different little suggestions that you kind of take as a whole, and you're like, okay, what is this really talking about? And then that kind of imparts the game. I know there's been a lot of discussion about the freelancer and its design.
Right.
Freelance cargo, a ship in our game.
Yes.
We've done a tremendous amount of bringing those together and coalescing them into one idea. And now the redesign going through the freelancer looks really good. It's not change everything about the ship, and it doesn't address every little comment we've ever got, but it did impact the design element, the concepting element of the ship. Like that's something that's really cool, and something personally, like in terms of focusing so much on Around the Verse and Time for the Chairman and all the other shows like I do. There's whole segments have existed because I read a comment on the forum and I was like, oh, it's a good idea. We'll just do that. So.
No, that's actually something that we have a lot of familiarity with around here. Is oh, you guys should do it that way. Oh no, you're right. We should.
Yeah.
We should do that way. We're gonna go ahead and do that way. Here's credit.
Yeah, on Friday we were doing Reverse of Verse, which is our weekly stream. Someone said, "Yeah, you guys should do a segment with Dan Tracy where he talks about the physics and tech of the engine." And I was like, "All right." So I just went and found Dan Tracy. He was like, "Hey, you want to do this?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Okay."
Okay. Cool.
Around the
Right. Where do you see Star Citizen in 5 years? Are you guys planning on being like a massive, like a one-game project in the vein of a game like Eve? Or there are thoughts of adding additional modules we haven't heard about? Or like a sequel to Star Citizen? What is the development metric there?
It's so weird you bring that up because it just sounds really weird, but I haven't really thought about that, that much since I got here. And then just on Friday, Ben and I, Ben Lesnick, the director of online strategies and community engagement, we were talking about it, just spitballing, and we kind of got this point where we're like, yeah, what do we want to do? Like, let's say Star Citizen's, a thing. Like, what happens? Like, in terms of, like, I think it's much more likely you'll just see additions to Star Citizen as opposed to a Star Citizen 2.
Right.
But yeah, who knows? I mean, this is a company Chris built, and, we have to make Star Citizen, and once Star Citizen's everything he wants it to be, it'll be, released, and then, I don't know, man. Like, who knows? Maybe we make another game. Maybe we just continue to, expand upon this one, but it's a weird question. Not a weird question. It's a weird spot we're in where we, I don't know, haven't really thought of it.
Well, you guys do still have an absolute Everest of content to climb. Like, there's a lot of stuff left to do, and I'm sure that it's very early on in the process, and that's something that will be addressed closer to the point where all of the promised projects are released.
Exactly.
Yeah, cool. Well, that's all from our end. James, thank you so much for taking the time out of your weekend to speak with us. Best of luck with both of your projects in the future. We're very much looking forward to interacting with you in the future. For Pixelated Geek and on behalf of Jordan Pollock, I'm James Huneycutt. Thank you guys so much for watching.